Hello and welcome. I have a question for you today. Do you ever feel like time is just slipping away without you noticing it? Do you ever find yourself sitting down, planning on being productive, and then you find yourself wasting time? I know I can't be the only one who sits down on a Monday with a full task list, a full to-do list, and I dive in and I'm working and working and working, only to discover at the end of the day, it feels like I got nothing done. If you're a working mom who's also homeschooling, no doubt you wonder how to stop wasting time and get more done in your day. I know I did when I first started juggling both an outside of the home job and a business and homeschooling my kids. I wondered if I would ever get caught up again. There were days where I would fall into bed, totally exhausted at night, feeling like a complete and utter failure because I had only managed to check off maybe one or two tasks on my to-do list. And it seemed like everyone and their grandmother managed to get more done in a day than I did. Was there some sort of secret to stop wasting time or be more productive as a working mom? What was I missing? I'm so glad that you've decided to join me. We're going to dive into this exact topic. My name is Jen McKinnon, and I help working moms who are also homeschooling juggle both without losing their sanity. And in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly what I've been doing to help me use my time more wisely with intention and reduce burnout and overwhelm. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is that we all need more time, right? I've never met any mom, working or not, and she says, I have enough time, thanks. Right? We all have so many commitments, especially working moms who are homeschooling. We have homeschool, we have our career, we have meals, we have cleaning. We all feel like we could use just a little bit more, if not a lot, of time in our day, just a few more hours, right? And the truth is that time is one of our top assets. I know you're thinking money. Money is a top asset, but here's why I don't agree with that statement. See, the difference between time and money is that you can make more money, but you can't make more time. And if you spend money, you can always earn more. But when you spend time, you can't do the same. Once you spend time, it's gone. It's like a non-renewable resource. So with that perspective, I learned that if I truly wanted to be productive as a working mom who's homeschooling her kids, I couldn't leave any hours to chance. I needed to be intentional with my time, and I needed to allocate my time accordingly. So the first step to wasting time and being more productive was to figure out where my time was going. So let's talk about how to do that. I'm well aware of how awful it feels to be not productive, to feel like you're behind, to feel like you are never, ever, ever going to catch up. Wasting time sucks. And spending time on the wrong things doesn't really feel any better. I mean, that newly organized fridge looks amazing, but missing the deadline on an important work task does not. So if we want to gain back hours in our day, then we need to identify where our time is going right now. How are we using it? Because if time is really the most valuable asset that we have, then we need to treat it as such, valuable. We need to be intentional about how we are managing our time and how we're spending our time. And the best way to do that is to complete a time audit and identify where you are spending your time. So first of all, let's talk about that. What is a time audit? Simply put, a time audit is keeping track of what you do during the day. And I'm going to be honest, I hate doing time audits. They're time consuming, they're annoying, but they're also incredibly important to pinpoint exactly where your time is going. So if you're wondering where your time is going, identifying your time suckers or the things that are sucking up most of your time is really important. And I'm going to share with you 3 steps to completing a time audit. Now, if you're looking to dive deep into this topic of time audits and how to use them, I have a resource linked in a blog post. I'll link it in the show notes here as well, that you can dive in deep, okay? But first of all, let me share with you the 3 steps to completing a time audit. Now, before I share a quick overview of how to complete a time audit, I want to warn you, this is a tool, okay? A tool. A tool helps you do things. It's not a weapon. It's not something that you should beat yourself up with, okay? So the first step is to grab a notebook. So any type of notebook or, an app, open an app on your phone, whatever tool you like to use, and start taking note of everything that you do in 24 hours. And I mean everything from the moment your feet hit the floor in the morning to when you fall into bed at night. So this includes things like drinking coffee, taking a walk, scrolling social media, time spent you homeschooling your kids. Don't forget to take time or take note of the time that you use answering phone calls, direct messages, emails, doing laundry. Write it all down, okay? And if you have a schedule that changes each day, I recommend you doing this a few days in a row so you get all the data you need to make decisions. Okay, let's move on to step 2. So after you've done this for a day or a couple of days, you're going to go through that list and you're going to organize your list and you're going to sort it. Ask questions like, which ones of these tasks that I'm spending my time on are wasters? Which ones are important? Go through that list and set your priorities. And as you look at the list, make sure to take note of things that are keeping you from accomplishing your tasks. So I'll give you an example. Social media is part of my job. It's where I host my free online community. It's in a Facebook group. I also host the community for the Working Homeschool Mom Coffee Club, which is my membership. And that membership is for working moms who homeschool, and our community aspect of that is held on Facebook. So it's very important that I show up there every day to support and encourage those members. But social media is designed to be a time suck. It's designed to get you on that platform and stay there. That's how it works. So then we need to ask ourselves, how can we combat that so we don't get sucked in to the social media platform and end up wasting our time and feeling like we got nothing done? The best way to do that is to move on to step 3. So we want to look at our time suckers and brainstorm ways to reduce the amount of time that we waste. So use an example that I just mentioned. How can I, as a working mom who's also homeschooling, make sure that I don't get sucked into social media? Here are a few ideas. One thing I can do is I can set a timer for a designated amount of time to spend on that platform. And I can set that timer out of reach. So I have to get up to turn it off, right? I need to move. The second thing I can do is designate times for social media in my plan. I can write it in my planner. Okay, this is the time I'm going to use on Facebook in my groups, and then stick to that instead of hopping in and out and end up sucking up my time. And the third thing I could do was limit my social media accounts to 1 or 2 platforms. So instead of trying to check out Instagram and Pinterest and TikTok and Facebook, I can say, okay, I'm going to focus on these 2 where my people hang out so I can encourage them. So your turn. What I want you to do is look at the list of time suckers, see what's sucking up your time, and then brainstorm solutions. How are you going to overcome that? How are you going to overcome this roadblock? So a time audit is a key to understanding exactly how you are using your time and how to stop wasting it. I want to share with you 5 ways you can stop wasting time and be more productive. So remember, in order for the hard work that you just put in, doing the time audit and identifying the time wasters, it needs to be a tool. And so you need to use that information to move forward. So now you know where your time is going. How can you stop wasting time and be more productive? Here are 5 things you can do. Number 1, you can group like tasks. So as you're going through the list, did you notice that you're wasting time? Perhaps making multiple trips in town, or you're going to the grocery store, you come back home. You go in town to drop books off the library, you come back home. Instead, see if there's a way that you can group those like tasks. So for example, if you're running to the grocery store, you can ask yourself, what other errands can I cross off my list that are on that route? Can I drop the books off at the library? Can I do my banking while I'm in town? What other errands can I take off my list and get done since I'm in there? And that will save you both time and money on gas. So cluster your appointments to minimize the driving and save time. The second thing you can do is create a simple plan. So let me ask you, when you went through your time audit, did you discover you were spending countless hours trying to figure out, what do I need to do? What do I need to do in my work? What needs to be done in my homeschool? Where do I need to be? Where are my appointments? Again, if you're one person, you have a lot of things to keep track of. And so I want to encourage you to use a planner, any planner that you like, and map out a simple schedule. Make sure you add in your priorities and you choose above, choose your schedules, choose your plan first, the things that are important, your priorities, and then add the rest of the things in. Okay. Once you have a plan in place, you really want to stick to it. Remember, you're one person and you have limits. Again, you don't want to take every single task. So don't put stuff on your schedule. Don't make it so full that you can't breathe. Make sure you have breathing room. And then at the end of the day, I want to encourage you to quickly review what you had on your schedule, what worked, what didn't, and then make adjustments. Okay. All right, let's move into the third thing that you can do. You can delegate and you can outsource. So guess what? You don't have to do everything yourself. Take a few minutes and look at your time log. Look at that time audit you created. Is there anything on this list that you can outsource or delegate to someone else? When I talk about delegating and outsourcing, a lot of times we think of paying somebody to do something, such as bookkeeping or a housekeeper. And if you can pay for a housekeeper, go for it. But as you look through your time log, ask yourself, what tasks can other people do for you? What can they take off your plate? Can they plan meals? Can they shop for groceries? Can they pick up things around the house? Can they clean and tidy? Get your family involved. And I'm going to give you a tip about doing that. Make sure that your expectations are very clear. So communicate. Your family and your coworkers cannot read your mind, and that is a good thing. So when you ask someone to take on a task that you do as a routine, you do it so often you don't even really think about it, make sure you include all the information so that they can do it too. You want to make it as easy as possible for them to take over the task for you. Okay, so that brings us to the fourth thing, and that is to make decisions ahead of time. One of the best ways to stop wasting time is by making decisions ahead of time. One of the workshops inside our coffee club membership is all about reducing the number of decisions you make each day, because making decisions every day is mentally and physically exhausting. From the moment our feet hit the floor in the morning, we make decisions. We decide, what are we going to wear? What are we going to eat? What needs to be done first? And so on. And weighing out those choices and then waffling, trying to make a decision, it takes up precious time and energy. You can stop wasting time and be more productive by making some of these choices ahead of time. So for example, maybe you can decide what to make for dinner and make out a meal plan. Maybe the day before, you can look at your homeschooling plan and plan ahead, or pick your clothes out the night before that you're going to wear. And then in the morning, you don't even have to think about what you're going to wear. It's already there. It's one decision you don't have to make. So take some time and look at the decisions you're making each day and see which ones you can make ahead of time, make the decision, and then move forward. And then if it wasn't the right decision, you can always adjust later. Which brings us to the fifth and final way to save time, and that is to create special time blocks. So remember that list of time suckers that we identified by doing our time audit? Well, sometimes those tasks, although they might suck up our time, are still necessary. They're things that we need to do. We can't remove them. So instead of removing them and feeling bad about not getting them done, what we can do is create and reserve a special limited time block for those time suckers, such as email or scrolling social media. For example, you might spend hours answering direct messages or emails. And the great thing about direct messages and emails is that they can wait, right? So instead of a phone call where your phone is ringing and ringing and ringing and you feel like you have to handle that immediately, you can set up specific times in your schedule to answer direct messages, private messages, or emails when you have the time and the mental energy to deal with those. And then if you set these boundaries above, seriously, don't answer them ahead of time, okay? Or you're like undoing all the hard work that you did. And if you have, like me, your phone rings and you don't answer it right away, If you have an answering machine, that's the purpose of the answer machine. If it's important, they'll leave a message and you can call back at a time that's convenient for you. And if it's really, really important, they'll just keep calling you. All right. So now you know what your time wasters are and you know how to stop them. The next step is to stick with it. Remember, change is hard. So give yourself grace when you find yourself falling back into some bad habits. To help with this, I want to encourage you to consider setting up a system of accountability to keep you in check. Either join an accountability group or set up reoccurring reminders on your calendar to check in. And if you feel that you're overwhelmed or behind, pull this resource back out and go through the steps again and make adjustments. You got this. Thanks so much for joining me and have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you found this episode helpful, I'd encourage you to join the Working Homeschool Mom Club on Facebook. It's a free online space for working homeschool moms who are currently looking for encouragement, support, and inspiration to help figure out what your working homeschool mom life might look like.